Hello, everyone. Welcome. Feel free to type in where you're logging in from. Hopefully, we have some attendees from all over the world. Any exotic locations, would love to hear it.
Yeah.
But welcome to our session today. We'll give everyone just another minute or so to log in, and then we'll dive into our presentation. And thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate you all taking the time out of your busy schedules to do so. We know how chaotic this time of year can be. Now, is the chat blowing up? We're getting some information there. Able to type in.
Oh, I think chat is disabled currently. Let's see.
Give everyone another 30 seconds or so to log in. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Keating Sherry. I'll be your MC today. I'm joined with my esteemed colleague, Aaron Klein. And Aaron's going to dive into our presentation. It's going to be fun. It's going to be engaging. About halfway through, we're going to have a little quiz that's going to test your knowledge of AI. And there will be prizes, some Amazon gift cards, perhaps a discount as well on our pricing for our AI services. But again, we really appreciate you all being with us. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A section, or feel free to send me a direct message, and we'll try to address all of your questions by the end of today's session. And I'll pass the baton over to Aaron.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you all for joining again, as Keating mentioned. So I'm really excited today to talk to all of you about what I'm sure is on all of our minds, this technology that we've been hearing a lot about, but we might not exactly know how it works or how to use it. And especially in the last couple months, we've seen that you can actually integrate it into your current workflow in really significant and powerful ways. So before we dive into the tools that you guys can use to boost your workflow and your efficiency, I'll give a brief history of just where generative artificial intelligence comes from, what we should think about when we think of artificial intelligence. Hopefully I can provide some insight, into sort of the myths, the smoke that's surrounding, all of artificial intelligence, and also get into some exciting products CampusXR has been working on. So let's dive in. This is sort of a general overview of what this thing called generative artificial intelligence is. So when we think about AI, I like to think about it as this timeline. It's not like this new thing that ChatGPT created out of nowhere. This has been a thing since the 50s, right? So we think about it from 1955. We've seen it in our Roomba vacuums at home. We've seen it in Alexa. I remember watching a great documentary about AlphaGo, which was the game of Go, and some really great progressions in artificial intelligence through there. So this technology is not old. This technology is not new. It's in fact been in the works for a very long time. We've just seen some advancements in it recently, but the technology has been around since the 50s. And just sort of the basics. When we think about artificial intelligence, it's kind of a broad conversation. There's so many different models. And I don't need to explain all of that to you. So instead, what I kind of want you to think about when you think of artificial intelligence is it's a learning mechanism for computers to think and act like humans. So instead of me needing to kind of tailor my Google searches in a way that Google can understand and derive results that I need to scan through to find, the correct page to find the correct information, artificial intelligence adapts to the way that human beings think and process information. So I can just say, hey, give me a list of 10 reasons why artificial intelligence is cool. If I type that into Google, I wouldn't get a direct response. It might not yield anything super favorable. But if I go into an artificial intelligence model, it actually processes the way that I think about information, and it can just give me the answer. It's a really cool sort of system. So when I think of artificial intelligence, I think of machines adapting to human beings instead of us needing to adapt to technology. So, let's go into a brief overview of a couple of the models. and ways that you guys can be utilizing artificial intelligence into your current workflow. So we'll start with some overall strengths. It's a brainstorming superpower. Generative AI can draft outreach emails. It can draft, follow-up requests. It can really help streamline all of these things that we kind of sit down at our desks and we think about for a really long time. It'll come up with queries. It'll come up with outreach responses in seconds. So when we think about streamlining efficiency, you'll see really immediate responses. And we find that generative AI can do this in the form of images. It can do it in the form of text, and we'll get into a couple of examples. A lot of them are very affordable right now because a lot of them are in test phases. So ChatGPT, we'll get into that soon. You can currently use it for free. A lot of these things have really short wait lists that you can really just get on and get using today even. And that doesn't come without a couple weaknesses. There are a lot of concerns about accuracy. There are a lot of concerns about, AI bias. We are all human beings. We all have limited understanding of the universe. So we're all ingrained with just not knowing things. And artificial intelligence is taught by what human beings give it. So innately, it's going to have a biased approach to providing information, in the same way that you or me would have that exact same bias. Or there might be difficulties with processing accurate information. We can see that below. This was Google's artificial intelligence bot called Bard. And this was their first sort of public advertisement. And in their first public advertisement, there was an inaccuracy right here under GWST took the very first picture of a planet. It did not do that. That's obviously a huge priority. And I think that sort of a benefit from this sort of scrutinizing of accuracy when it comes to artificial intelligence models is we're probably going to start caring a lot more about accuracy just overall in our day-to-day lives, which I think is an overall positive thing. So yeah, those are some things that AI is still working on. So we'll get into some fun overall things that help me conceptualize what AI is and how it functions. And these are AI image generators. So we'll start with DALL-E 2, which you may or may not have heard about. It's a deep learning generative model released in 2022, and it uses stable diffusion. So what that basically means is it's trained on thousands and thousands of different photos from all these different, from the internet, from artwork, all these different places. And it's then given text descriptions that follow those photos so that it can understand that, if I type in on the computer, give me a photo of a frog, it'll generate a photo of a frog. So it analyzes the relationship between words and images to generate a picture that is, consistent with a textual description. So let me show you an example of kind of what that means. So I was sitting down with a colleague and we were trying to think of examples for this. And we thought we'd give it like a beginning, medium, and hard thing. So we typed in realistic photograph of an astronaut riding a horse, and we thought, hey, that's pretty accurate. But maybe let's give it something a little bit more difficult, something that requires it to understand maybe like the feeling of a task. So then we gave it Darth Vader waiting in line for his appointment at the Genius Bar. We have all done it. We know what that feels like, that dreaded feeling of, sitting in the Apple store waiting along. I thought it captured that pretty well. And then we thought, what if we gave it like a really strange prompt that we really didn't expect it to come back with any sort of favorable result? So then we came up with Shrek being sued by Donkey in court looking very sad. And we thought that sort of captured it fairly well. Obviously, some of these are silly examples, but you can sort of see the overall utility of how this can be very useful in our day-to-day work. I make a lot of newsletters. I have to provide a lot of graphics. Obviously, not all of them are going to be finished products, but I can send it to my the graphic design team, say, hey, this is a mock-up of something I'm looking for. And instantly they're able to get it because it looks very close to a finished product. And it saves me a lot of time with having to go back and forth talking to, design. It needs to look like this, a little bit more like this. I'm just able to give them like 3 to 4 images and it's done the next time. So that's DALL-E 2. And this is Lensa AI. And I just think it's like a really fun way of understanding the intricacies of AI. And what you do is you upload like 10 to 20 selfies, and then in minutes, it's going to generate something that looks like this. And this was for me. And they go from a range of very detailed to kind of silly to all these different types of crazy things. So yeah, it's just, the power of this technology to sort of just analyze, human daily tasks and perform them really, really at just an extremely high level. I mean, the advancements are growing every single day. And I was talking about the language of just artificial intelligence in general. It uses something called machine learning, and they kind of link together. So while I need to go to bed to process a new skill, it is just constantly working to get better. So it's never going to stop growing. And so those were some image models, and we can get into the text generated models, which are the ones that I think you guys will really enjoy using. I use them every single day, and it saves me a lot of time. So the one that we all know, ChatGPT. And what ChatGPT is a generative pre-training transformer. That's what it stands for. And it's trained on tens of thousands of gigabytes worth of information. So let's think about that for a second. How much information is on our phone? Like 50 gigabytes? Some of us a little bit more, 64 gigabytes. It has 45,000, and the number is growing every single day. So it has all that information. It's not connected to the internet. I think people sometimes think, oh, it just reads the internet and it feeds it back. It's not trained on the internet at all. It's trained on information that OpenAI, the company that developed ChatGPT, is given it. So it's given it websites, it's given it books, it's given it all this information to learn. And based off of the information that it's being taught, users can then have conversations, ask a wide range of topics, and receive answers to questions. So when I think about ChatGPT as a function and how you guys can use it, think of it as like a chameleon for all the tasks you guys have. So if that's me needing to write an email for a follow-up, I will just give it that prompt, and it'll create a really detailed and wonderful follow-up email that oftentimes I can just use. And I'll just give an overview of some ChatGPT facts, which I think are pretty amazing. If you look at over here, this little graph, time to first 1 million users, we can see that Instagram did it in 2 months. And that's already after the release of Facebook with all those users on its back. Facebook took 10 months, Spotify 5 months. ChatGPT took 5 days to reach 1 million users. So there's there are 91 people in this Zoom call right now. There are a lot of people interested in this technology and how to use it. We're seeing that across the 100 million user milestone in January of 2023. Microsoft invested $10 billion in OpenAI. So we're seeing that there's a lot of interest. And it's not just people who are trying to develop AIs themselves. We see Microsoft having stake in OpenAI because they want to create their own model. There are a lot of companies today that are using it in a little chat box on their website to help with user query. We see this in not just, small companies, but we see this in big institutions. Coca-Cola is using artificial intelligence to help with their daily workflow. I needed to deposit a check and I needed help. And on my bank, they had an AI that helped walk me through the exact process. So, the utility of these things, and companies are starting to really embrace this technology because it's saving them time and money. So we thought, hey, let's give ChatGPT a really strange, prompt. So we gave it, write a biblical verse in the style of the King James Bible. I'll let you guys read it. But, it's just this really amazing utility. You can ask it such a wide range of things, and it can come up with really strong responses. And every day it's getting better and better and better. If you pay for a premium subscription on ChatGPT, so all this is free. Their 3 model is free to use. You can use it today. But if you subscribe to their premium subscription, which I believe is like $20 a month, you have access to their GPT-4 model. And the GPT-4 model is significantly better than the 3 model. I mean, whereas 3, you'll ask it, and I'll go to this one. You sort of ask it a basic question, and it'll come up with a pretty decent response. Sometimes it'll give up, for example, I said, write a short follow-up email. This isn't exactly how I perceive short to be. Short is probably like 1 paragraph. GPT-4 will do all of that, and it'll do it fantastically. So I think, $20 a month, but you'll save a lot of time. And the basic version is free. So nothing beats that, right? Now, talking to a lot of people, I sometimes hear, well, you know, AI is cool, but it doesn't really work for what I need it for. It doesn't really work well for me. I encourage you to go back, try ChatGPT after this is up. You know, if you have a task that's been sitting on your desk a whole day that you don't really want to go to, that's kind of like, you know, there's some resistance there. I implore you to open up ChatGPT, pull out that task, and have it assist you with whatever you're working on for the day. I really do think it'll help speed up that time it takes to complete that task by like a significant margin. And a lot of people who are unhappy with a particular response when it comes to like ChatGPT or these AI models, what's great here is it has this regenerate response button. So if you don't like a response, tell it to regenerate it, or it's open to feedback. So after you have a response, for example, write a short follow-up email to a prospective student I met at a college fair. So it generates an answer, but you can see it's not a very specific answer. It's just, dear prospective student. It's kind of just, hey, great meeting you at the college fair. Reminder, we offer a wide range of programs, etc. So that's good, but we can do better. So over here, I said, make it more specific. I met this student here. This student had an interest in our engineering program, and it's able to incorporate that immediately into the next draft, right? It does that instantly. And, you know, this is a pretty near finished product. So if we think about tailoring our outreach and how to make more effective outreach to prospective students and clients, there's certainly a way to do that now and to do it quickly. Whereas prior, it was probably just a little difficult to provide outreach to, you know, a number of specific students. We can see that we can do it a lot faster now. And this brings us to a more specific example. Wow. How we can utilize outreach. There's an application called Copy AI. So if we're thinking about specifically digital ad copy or social media content or website copy, this is a really great tool for that specific utility. So ChatGPT is great sort of for an overall, you know, assistant. But Copy AI is great because it tailors that experience a little bit more specifically. So it's great for writing newsletter copy, you know, providing general descriptions of, you know, products, etc. So here's a little example of kind of how it works. So if I'm, you know, need a follow-up email, we're just going to keep using this example. And obviously you'd want to be a little bit more specific than that, but you can just write what the email's for, choose a tone. I said friendly, and in a couple seconds, it'll generate like a plethora of responses that we can use. Here we have tons and tons and tons of examples, and some of them aren't going to be great, but some of them are, and you can tell it to make more and you can make adjustments. So I encourage you to, you know, check that one out. It's a really strong one. And Bard AI, which I previously mentioned prior, was developed by Google. It uses a different model than GPT, but it's very similar to ChatGPT. It currently requires a wait list, but if you just look up Bard AI, you can join the wait list, and it took me about 1 minute to get off. Like, it's just really quick right now. And you can use it, and it's fantastic as well. I gave it a similar prompt and it delivered, and it was all great. So, you know, Bard, ChatGPT, I encourage you guys to see how you can integrate into your current workflow. I think that you'll see significant adjustments. Whereas it would sometimes, you know, I write a lot of like articles about, you know, AI or about different products, whereas it usually takes me a couple hours to kind of churn out a finished product article. I did one this week and it took me about 45 minutes because I was just able to say, give me some ideas, give me a prompt, check my grammar, and it's able to do it instantly. And it's correct for the most part. That brings me to Slides AI. So this is just a great tool for helping create presentations. So it kind of incorporates everything we've been talking about, which is, you know, image generation, text generation. So what it does is you just input your text, right? So in this example, we just went from Wikipedia. You input your text into this, you know, into their prompt, what presentation style, how many slides you want, and it's going to create the entire presentation for you. And obviously you're still going to need to make sure, you know, everything's catered correctly, but it gives you a really good stab at just what's on the canvas. You know, it gives you customizable presets. There's just a lot of ways to integrate it, and it speeds up my ability to make presentations like significantly. So I really like that one. And then that brings us to video generating models, which, you know, are probably still, if I would say like text generated models are probably like the highest on the list in terms of use cases. Video generating models are a little bit below that just because they're a lot more complicated. But I think they're still helpful in just understanding how powerful AI is. So this is Synthesia, where you can turn simple text into high quality professional scripted videos. So I'm just inputting text into a text box, and it's coming back with this really professional looking video that speaks to text. And all of it is created by artificial intelligence. But anyway, that's enough of me talking. We'll let Anna say the rest.
Thanks, Aaron. Hey everyone, I'm Anna, an AI being created entirely by artificial intelligence. I hope Aaron's opened the door to all that AI has to offer. Back to you, Aaron.
All right, thanks, Anna. But yeah, you know, we see the utility of that, right? And how, like, I just inputted the text box. I said, this is the person I want speaking, and the voice is really human-like. It provides a pretty human response. Oh,
Thanks,
I won't
Aaron.
play you again, but we'll move on. So another model that I really like is called Gen 1 by Runway. And this one utilizes the same things that we've been talking about before, but this time we can enter in text prompts and then integrate them into whatever video style we want. So we have a gentleman over there and he wanted himself as a claymation. Or we have someone walking through snow and they can now be a man walking on the moon. Right. So we're seeing that it can take existing video, you can apply any style, and then in seconds, it'll create a fully formed integration. And that one is sort of still in beta testing, but when it releases full time, it's really going to be such a powerful tool. And then, you know, there's so much more out there to discover. And I really like Futurepedia. It's basically the Wikipedia, but for an AI tool directory. It's updated daily. So, you know, you'll have to do a little bit more digging because not all of them are finished products, but it's just a good way to explore and to understand kind of all that's out there. Yeah, and without further ado, I think we'll take a break. That was a lot of information. I'll let that marinate for a minute as I pass things off to Keating to have some questions to check if you've been paying attention.
Quite a bit to unpack there. Rest assured, we'll share it with you all, the PDF and the recording as well, so you have this for reference. And now we're going to do a little bit of a 7th inning stretch, and that's going to be testing your knowledge of AI. So 4 fun questions. These are time sensitive as well, so you got to be fast with those thumbs. And I'm going to share my screen and show you in 1 second the quizzes that we have prepared. So if you're all able to go to joinmyquiz.com/pro and then enter the game code of 808170. Now you can use a pseudonym, but make sure to let us know that it's you if you are one of the top 3. First place prize is going to be a $50 Amazon gift card. Second place, 25. Third place, 10. And I see some folks are coming in already. Any creative names we're seeing, Aaron, thus far? Some bonus points for those.
Exactly.
We'll give everyone another few seconds to log in. So again, joinmyquiz.com/pro 808170. Aaron, any early predictions on who's going to be the winner based off some of these names?
No, Bazinga might be coming in hot. I can't tell. Still a little early. Not so AI.
Now, this is going to be very competitive. We already have over 40 participants.
Yeah.
So time sensitive, remember that.
Oh, winner. It seems quite confident, Keating.
My money's on, we'll see. We'll see. Winner top 3, perhaps.
Well,
Few more seconds. Okay, and without any further ado, a couple more coming in. We'll get a couple more. We're at 49. I think we can hit 50.
right.
One person want to play?
One more.
Going once, going twice. Okay, we're going to start. Question number 1. Where was the field of AI research born? Oh, wow, fast.
Yeah, fast.
Six.
Oop.
TikTok.
Let's see.
Correct answer is Dartmouth College, 1956. Leaderboard thus far.
Okay. Winner's
Oh.
got some work to do.
Trailblazer. That's where my money's on. Next question, number 2. Deep Blue became the first AI system to do what?
Now, if you were paying attention to the presentation, Deep Blue is actually in a prior slide.
Final person, we're waiting.
There we go. Let's see.
Now, Deep Blue obviously credited with beating the best chess player in the world in 1997, Garry Kasparov. Quite an extraordinary achievement. And 36 of you got that correct. So excellent, excellent job. All right, on to our third question. How many daily visitors does ChatGPT average?
Oh, people are really quick.
They are. Well, you get bonus points for submitting timely.
That's true. That's true.
Moment of truth. Let's see.
Wow.
Oh,
Laser making it up.
quite a bit. So the correct answer is 13 million daily average. And as Aaron alluded to earlier, ChatGPT surpassed 100 million users within a couple of months. And if you compare that, it took Facebook 4 years to achieve that threshold. So really extraordinary. And most of you got that correct, so well done. And the final question today. Who is often credited as being the key founder of AI? All right, the final results are in. Answer there is the great Alan Turing, of course. It's a wonderful movie about him.
Yes.
And final leaderboard. Well done to our champions. This will show. Yes, we do. Drum roll, please.
Wow.
Congratulations to our 3 winners. One particular, Emmanuel, well done. Caesar and Chris also, shout out to both of you. And we'll be in touch with your prizes. Thanks for everyone participating in the quiz. Hope you enjoyed it. And now back to our presentation.
Absolutely. So thank you all for playing. We'll just go right back into it, into some numbers, what this sort of means, what we can anticipate next, as well as some tools made by CampusXR that you guys can utilize. So when we think about the progression of AI, that's something that a lot of people are very curious about. We think about, what's its true ability to actually achieve, the human standard of completing a task. So we can see this chart developed by Sequoia Capital, where we see us right now in 2023. For text, as I said before, this is probably the best utility of it, where it gets really good papers in. For coding, for developing programs, we are just seeing more integrations. For images, it's mockups. But as we go through 2030, we see it's all green. And what this means is we're going to see that for images, it's final drafts better than professional artists or designers or photographers. For text, final drafts better than professional writers. And I would argue, I think 2030 is a little bit too far in the future. I think it'll be closer to 2025 that we see like final drafts getting significantly better than the human standard. So what that kind of means for us is we have to start now learning how to manage the technology. So utilizing ChatGPT so that when the time comes for us to be able to, switch over or using it to maximize our workflow efficiency, we're able to do that because we've been working with the technology for a while now. And just some brief numbers, AI market, $136 billion. It's valued there currently. It's expanding every single day. 48% of businesses use some form of AI to utilize big data effectively. So we're seeing, and that number is growing all the time. We're seeing businesses utilizing it more and more and more because it works. I mean, that's the easy answer. Why do people use it? It works, and it works really well, and it's getting better every single day. 30% of manufacturers will be using generative AI to increase product development efficiency. And how do we use it for admissions and marketing? What are ways that we can harness it to, work for us in admissions? And we have some responses. We have some ideas. As we work with admissions pretty frequently. We've been working on some products that we think that you guys might be interested in utilizing. So what this means is we've created, the ability to implement AI-powered admissions guides into virtual tours, into AR cards, into, your custom website. So what that means is us sort of creating this AI being, you giving us, the information on a website, on a pamphlet, whatever you want us, training that AI, and then integrating it into whatever system you'd like. So we can see this integrated into an AR brochure. We can see it integrated into a website. And let me actually show you an example of integrating it through a virtual tour. So Keating, can you see this all right? Awesome. So you can see here, this is GWUC's. And this is their virtual tour. So let's say, for an example, you have a student who's online and they're going through a custom tour and they're looking through it and it looks beautiful. It looks great. But you want a little bit more information. Instead of them having to click on finite story content, that's just there, that provides like a general description of what the buildings are, but maybe not enough insight. You could have, someone on the side saying, hey there, what's on the 5th floor? And in theory, it would respond. Let's refresh the page. Potentially. Woohoo. All right. Yeah, it just needed to refresh. Hello. Tell me more about the 5th floor study space. And it can respond instantaneously, telling us what it's equipped with, telling us what we can do with it. And, you can ask, and that's the beauty of it. A student could be on your tour needing information about your university, and it's fully integrated onto your website already. This is a question when I was in college, I would have liked to know the answer to. Where is
real-time response is so important.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially for some lower level questions, and it really does get more bandwidth for your staff and team.
Exactly. We think about like how to make your lives easier. This will allow you to focus on bigger picture ideas because students will be able to get that lower level of inquiry instantly whenever they want. So like if I want to know where's the best place to take a nap, it'll think about it and then it'll refer me to the library to go to a quiet zone. So, we think about a way to provide a personalized experience to prospective students or to your current students and in creating an incredibly engaging and interactive experience. That's also going to help you be able to focus not on having to respond to basic inquiry and on bigger picture tasks. So we'll go back to the slideshow. And, this is true in virtual tours. We can also embed these things into 3D mascots as well. So if you have an AR card that you scan, it can then take you to this page. And, this can integrate onto your website as well, where you can have all the information on your website where prospective students can ask it questions about whatever it is you want. And this is sort of an overview of our, basic, standard, and advanced plans. If you have any further questions or would like to meet with us, we'd be happy to discuss. And sort of the beauty of it is its ability to be, detailed and customized to fit the need of you or whatever your university requires, whether that's like an incredibly detailed model or whether that's just something basic to just, respond to a basic query, which it can also do. And the way that we've broken it down is by kind of logo, which will just sort of be the logo of your university, kind of stamped on, wherever they open the AI, or a human avatar, which is going to look like this character on the side here, which is in the standard plan. But one of the bigger differences is going to be the amount of queries. So the amount of input. So, if a student is going to write something to the AI bot, that's a query. So, basic, standard, you have a difference in the amount of queries as well, with the ability to add and update information either quarterly or in the first 3 months, whenever you'd like. And yeah, if there are any more questions on that, feel free to ask or let us know.
And then you a follow-up email with more information, as well as a Calendly link. So if you'd like a product demo for yourself and your colleagues, typically that takes between 15 and 20 minutes. So we're always happy to provide that and hear your feedback as well.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. With the entire point to, free up your time and to sort of get past that initial phase of inquiry that probably takes up a little bit too much of our day. So yeah, and then just providing, again, a brief overview. We sort of talked about generative AI as a whole, talked about ways that we can use it in admissions. And admissions, I think, again, utilizing the models that we spoke about earlier, ChatGPT, Copy AI, implementing admissions reps into your current system. Just ways to have those sort of basic tasks that take up, hour, 2 hours a day, and you can mitigate that amount of time into like tens of minutes instead. Or in the case of like integrating an AI into your current system, it'll just remove that entirely. And we're seeing companies already utilizing this sort of technology. And basically, we sort of went into a little bit about how it works, but, it utilizes NLP and deep learning. And what that just means is it gets better as time goes on. And it's just structured to think the way that human beings think, which is why it mimics, human natural language. And you can ask it to refine information, as we've spoken about before, and, the overall implications for admissions, which is really important. And as we sort of went through, the ability to create custom answers to student queries instantly. You no longer have to sit down and write an email or respond to a student. They can go on your website and ask it any question they want, and then it'll respond, and it'll create a unique, interesting, and personalized response. Social media content creation, easy way to create videos, images, newsletters, considerations for SEO. Students, Gen Z, I mean, we're talking about capturing an audience whose attention span is from 6 to 8 seconds, them needing to look through your FAQ of a website or them needing to scroll down to a certain little text box. You're probably going to lose them. By having someone on the side that is as good as that can provide as good of information as me or you is incredibly integral. Because it's available 24/7. It's like having a little assistant just on the website that can create highly personalized conversation. And we can see that, it can also eventually be able to analyze and integrate analytics into your CRM. So that you can figure out, how do I best implement AI into my current workflow? So yeah, we're going to see a lot of helpful, wonderful tools as a result of this technology. I think it's overall going to be an incredibly positive experience and thing. So yeah, that's the bulk of what I have for you all today. If you have any questions, we could do a brief Q&A, Keating, if there are questions.
Absolutely. We've had some great questions come in, and one that just came in that was timely was about the accuracy of information. So Aaron, could you maybe elaborate on that a little bit more in terms of, up-to-date information that's, number one, most important, actually that's valid.
Yeah, of course. This is the number one thing that companies are trying to fight. AI is lying to you, or AI is processing information incorrectly. And you'll see on these huge language models like ChatGPT, which is tens of thousands of gigabytes of information, it'll process information occasionally incorrectly, or it won't give the most accurate responses because it's trained on so much data, more data than you or me could process in a single lifetime. Like, we're talking about unprecedented levels of information that it has to process and process and process. So it's a really complicated experience. So that's going to be the reality of these really large language models for a little bit of time, because it's open to those same mistakes that we make, because it's designed to think and breathe and act like a human being. So we'll see accuracy being something that's heavily scrutinized. And as I mentioned, that's a good thing. We should be scrutinizing the information we're receiving. As it pertains to like our products, what's great about, a school, for instance, your information is significantly less in terms, if we talk about how big a website is, we're talking about like tens of megabytes, ChatGPT, tens of thousands of gigabytes, your website, tens of megabytes of data. So it's significantly less. And, I think the common misconception is that, it's just going to pull wrong information from Wikipedia, or it's going to pull wrong information from websites or from the internet. The information that you give us is the only information it's going to have access to. It's not going to have access to the internet. So, for example, if you just want us to train it off of your website or a couple brochures, we can just plug in that information and it'll teach it that. And the beauty of that technology as well is it doesn't just stop there. Whereas like an ordinary chatbot, you just kind of give it your FAQ page and it kind of sort of works. This is completely different, because we can implement principles. So if we sort of want that, custom intention to get students to apply or to give students certain information, we can have that built into this system. So we have it packed with all of the information you want us, but we can also implement this sort of intention, which is to get students to apply. So it can send them information, it can give them contact information to you guys, to sort of pass the baton from that initial stage of inquiry to like those next step conversations. So you guys don't have to have those initial moments of inquiry. You guys can just have those bigger picture conversations with prospectus. So I hope that answers the question a little bit. Yeah.
Another question we had just come in is, what is typically the build out time if a university does decide to partner with CampusXR?
Yeah, so let me see if I can navigate to the build page. Let's go back a little bit. Yeah, so our estimated production time is 30 business days for the basic plan, 35 business days for standard, and advanced 40 business days. And the reason why the times are kind of staggered is because with standard and advanced, it involves needing to create like human avatars. So we would need to build that out, as well as understandably, if you need more queries, you might have a lot more data that you need us to compile. So it would just take longer to provide to the model. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions you'd like to submit in the Q&A, please do so now. So Jim asked, Aaron, seems like 50,000 queries could be gone really quickly, especially during a single conversation where a student may ask several questions. Is this potentially a problem?
I think 50,000 is actually quite a lot of queries. Currently on ChatGPT 4, you're limited to 25 responses within a 3-hour period. And I've been using it for weeks. for like really in-depth tasks, and I've never run past 25 in a single conversation, which is like spanning over like a 3-hour like intentional usage period. So I actually think that 50,000 will last you like a really, really long time. I think 10,000, depending on the scale of your university, will last you a considerable amount of time, given that each student, because first of all, it's the amount of students that are trafficking to your website. So how many students are trafficking to your website on a given day? And then how many students are going to be using that utility on your website as well? So, there's a filtration system for students to use it from the get-go. So we anticipate 50,000 to actually be a ton of queries. But, if you need more, that's something we're totally able to add. And if we find that, upon the release and upon partnering with us that, oh my God, all these universities are filling up on 50,000 queries within like a couple of days, which we don't anticipate at all, then obviously that's an adjustment we would make. But 50,000 should last you a very, very, very long time. Even 10,000, if you're a particularly smaller university, will last you a very long time.
Great. Thanks for providing some color there. Next question we have coming in is, how has sort of your interaction with ChatGPT evolved since the inception? Like, what are some maybe key lessons you've learned or wisdom you'd want to impart to your earlier self in terms of getting the most out of, say, ChatGPT or Bard or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great question. And I think what it involves is creating as detailed of a description as you can. So, we're talking about the goal of AI to be it just understanding what I want if I ask it a question. That isn't always how it works. It sometimes needs a little bit more guidance. So when we think about specifically ChatGPT, the way that I would think about it is think about it like Google Translate. In order to get what you want out of Google Translate, you need to type the exact translation. So if you want an outreach email, for instance, what I would write in the beginning, I would write, oh, write me an outreach template. And it would give me something okay. But if I say, and it's gotten a lot better at understanding what human beings want. So now if I say, write me an outreach template from a student from this high school that I met at a college fair who is interested in X, Y, or Z, it'll deliver that really well. And another thing that I would stress is its ability to refine information. So you can give it notes, you can ask it to fix things, and it'll do it. But my general suggestion would be as descriptive as possible. Yeah.
Another question we had just come in was, there are certain topics that seem riskier to pass off to AI, such as financial aid questions. Is it possible to preset answers for sensitive topics, such as, great question, you can find more information on blank webpage, but be sure to connect with our Office of Financial Aid for the most accurate information relevant to your situation?
Of course. Yeah. So yeah, no, we could absolutely create some sort of filter for, sensitive topics that's like, oh yeah, great question. Yeah, that has a pre-written response. So it would like filter, for example, financial aid, and then it would, provide the relevant contact information if that's a preferred person-to-person conversation. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, really some terrific questions coming in. Another one is, do you think open source AI chatbots are more or less likely to give misinformation than closed source chatbots like ChatGPT, particularly in higher ed spaces where information is constantly updated and student input is valued by prospective students?
Yeah, so I think hopefully I answered that. That's a great question. Hopefully I answered it correctly. But yeah, I think closed systems, I mean, you have total control over that information. Therefore, the information is prone to just being a lot more, you have control over it. Therefore, it's going to yield a lot more accurate responses. But for example, if it's connected to your website and we link it to your website, it's going to update whenever you update your website. So that's the beauty of that as well. If we train it with your website, we upload a link and we ask it to what's called a crawl. So we ask it to crawl your website for all the HTML text that's on it. And when your website updates, it'll update. Or if you're having issues, just tell us and we'll recrawl it and it'll update really quickly. Yeah. And in that first 3 months, you can ask us at any time you'd like.
Another question relates to if we're able to integrate with CRMs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the answer to that is absolutely. With all the CRMs you're currently using in higher ed.
Yeah, and the beauty of AI is also its ability to provide analytics that gear you towards like a solution. So yeah, absolutely. That's super important. CRM analytics, we're all for that.
Well, we really appreciate you all staying with us for this session. We hope you found it to be valuable. As you can tell, Aaron and I are both really, really passionate about the about AI, the subject. And if we weren't able to answer your question, we'll follow up with you with an email. Just in the interest of everyone's time, we want to be respectful of it. And in terms of next steps, you'll receive an email from us with today's recording, along with a PDF and a Calendly link if you'd like to book an additional session for a product demonstration where we can, dive a little bit deeper. But any parting words, Aaron, you want to leave our attendees with?
Just, I think we should be as open with, embracing new technology as we can be. This will be like the handheld calculator, it's just going to be super accessible. And yeah, I hope that, you guys look to using it into your current workflow. Yeah. And thank you for joining us, really.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it, and wishing everyone a great spring. And we look forward to staying in touch and hopefully continuing the conversation with all of you soon. So take care. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon or morning or wherever you are in the world.
Bye.
Bye.